Now we're here with His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Bandar ALSaud, the CEO and founder of Advanced Initiative, which is helping people in Saudi get into the games industry. Welcome, Prince Salman.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you with us. And can you just tell us a little bit about AIC, what the company does and how it came about?
AIC, also known as Advanced Initiative, started in Saudi Arabia as a video game developer, as well as we have an arm to teach Saudis game development with our exclusive partner, DGC Institute of Technology, and MCIT, Ministry of Information Communication Technology. We as well have a third arm, sadly only have two, that invests in solo or small indie teams all over the world to create their game and help them achieve their vision. Well, as my role in AIC, well, as you said before, I'm the founder and CEO. My day-to-day life is basically running around, bothering everyone, and them telling me to go away. So how we were established, it started actually 1 year before the company was established, around 2016. I went to Japan with an idea to pitch for a game to one of the major publishers there. I spent 2 months working on the pitch, working on the design document. I had the opportunity to meet with them, and we, through many meetings and many discussions, one thing came up where what is our part of the world doing? They wanted our part of the world to join the games industry and bring these unique ideas and backgrounds to the world. So that stuck with me. After I left, sadly the pitch didn't go anywhere, but we had good connections there. After I left Japan, I came to Saudi Arabia and worked with two of my close friends to establish AIC. When we established the company, we established it as a game studio. For 2 years, we were looking for capable Saudis and individuals here in the country, where we found talented people, but we didn't find people with experience that were capable of working with each other and finishing game software. Indeed, since video games are more harder than you think to make. You need to build the software, to design a game, and to design animation and music all in the same time. So we set our sights abroad to work on this game to the US. While we were working on that, we started with DigiPen through rigorous searching and using our contacts that we created in Japan. We found DigiPen and we told them our story and what we wanted to achieve here in the kingdom, and they were so excited. They came here to Saudi Arabia. We looked around many entities, and the perfect place was at MCIT. After setting up everything and all the legal work that comes with that, we finally launched Game Changers. With all of that, instead of more than just helping game developers here in Saudi Arabia, we wanted to help people outside. So that's why we started as well as the development arm.
Okay, and you mentioned there obviously the sort of partnership and the involvement with DigiPen. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, what that involves and kind of what they bring, how you guys work together?
What we are happy about is all our mindsets are surprisingly the same, even with their long experience in the industry, and we're happy to find a partner like that. They have succeeded not just in Seattle, but in Singapore and Spain, where in Seattle and Singapore, they have almost 100% employment rate. I think it's jumping from 95 to 99. as well as the highest paying bracket for graduates over there, even Bilbao as well. So they are experienced in going to other countries and kickstarting the industry there. So they were the best choice for us.
And so with regards to DigiPen, how do you kind of benefit there? What's the experience that they bring to the table?
Well, it is an experience of a lifetime for me as a Nintendo fan, since most of them worked at Nintendo Software Technology in Seattle. And also someone as well was on the Minecraft team at Microsoft. And so having people with more than 30 years of experience in game development, like we have someone who worked on a Mario game, Mario versus Donkey Kong, Wave Racer, and 1080 Snowboard. And having this talent and the understanding of, deeper technologies and experiences at that level of years of working with Nintendo. Like most people, worked with the greats at Nintendo and had meetings and pitches and learned from them, as well as working on Minecraft. And one of the students, I remember when he knew about one of the program leads worked on Minecraft, he went shouting to his friends, "I met a guy who worked on Minecraft." So we want that feeling that someone says, this is the company that in Saudi Arabia, like going to school or whatever, if they pass through and see the logo of a company of a game that they developed. We want that feeling, not just from the outside, in Saudi Arabia as well, to see that your favorite game developer, is not in halfway around the world, it's actually in your country or even in your city, that excites you to join in. And having that is purely amazing. Like all the experience and knowledge that they have, it's a lifetime's worth.
And now I can kind of see from behind you that you're obviously a very, very avid gamer with the various sort of Nintendo paraphernalia. Could you just tell me a little bit about your own kind of gaming interests and maybe how this whole idea was sparked based on your own kind of love for gaming?
Well, I've known games since I could remember. The first game that I know of was Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. That game made me fall in love with video games. Surprisingly, its sequel, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which I don't think it shows over here, but I have
I can see it, yeah.
Here, made me want to develop video games on how I saw the difference, even though the core of it was the same, the same movement, the same everything there, but having these power-ups and transformations, it sparked in me something that throughout the years could never leave. And I know that many people in the country have this same spark, and thank God now we have this opportunity to, for them to show their passion.
That's great. And with regards to, giving people this opportunity to show their passion, obviously you touched upon the kind of Game Changers scheme a bit before and how that kind of came about. Could you just tell us a little bit more about that program in a bit more detail and how it kind of aims to help that next generation of talent?
Sure. Game Changers is basically a stopgap where we are building the foundation of the games industry here. It starts with a rigorous 13-month, crash course in game development, where we bring in applicants who have backgrounds in art, in computer science, as well as design. But design is more open for everyone, since the core of design is problem solving. So it's more of a mindset than what you have studied before. Through that, we also not just teach them the fundamentals of programming and art and design. We teach them on how to create teams, how to best work with teams, how to establish their companies, and so on. So it's not just technical knowledge and then that's it. We let them fly high and dry. No, we stay with them, we help them build, because the goal at the end of this program is to establish 10 companies and double the amount of companies in Saudi Arabia in the video game sector. More on that, everything relies upon our apprentices, which we see their passion, and they like, you wouldn't believe what sacrifices they made. Most of them moved from all over the country to the capital, not seeing their parents only in holidays, and working rigorous hours. Like, we're trying to condense a 4-year degree program into 13 months. Even though they have some background knowledge and all of that, video games are a totally different beast, as I said before. With those sacrifices and those push, everything relies on them. No matter what AIC does, no matter what DigiPen does, no matter what MCIT does, this foundation will be built upon their hard work. And that shows their passion isn't only for the students, the project leads as well, who stay up all night answering questions at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. for the apprentices. So the apprentices are awake all night, and the project leads are awake. And they also sacrificed a lot. They came from the US and the rest of the world and left their families for the same amount of time that the apprentices have, and working so hard because they see the potential in Saudi Arabia and the passion for our apprentices. And we are just halfway through the program, and we're actually going to release student projects. So these are games that are free. You don't have to pay any money, no microtransactions, no nothing. And you can see how the teams and the apprentices work together and how they progressed. And hopefully by the time you see this video, if you visit gamechangers.sa, you can download these games on PC, iOS, and Android. And you can, to excite you on what they can achieve when they establish their companies, because these games were done at the same time. The apprentices were learning, so it wasn't a full-time job creating a game. So it's a mixture of studying the entire morning and working the entire afternoon and night to create these games. And this short amount of time, see what they can create. Just imagine when they have when this becomes their full-time job, and we want to excite people on that.
And how impressed have you been with the sort of the work ethic and the caliber of these students and the stuff and the passion for what they're doing?
Oh, immensely. Like people quit their jobs to join the program. Many of them have children and families, but they came to work on this because their dream is finally coming true. We're only missing the opportunity here in Saudi Arabia, nothing else. We have the passion, we have the knowledge. It's just the opportunity, the gateway to go through. And even like people traveled by car for like 13 hours or I don't know how long to just join Game Changers, and it is phenomenal. Like we always, see the first games they made, which were very bad, and that's the idea. The Game Changer is where you're supposed to fail, because you learn from your failures. It is a safe place for you to fail. So when you go out to the world, you have that experience on what to do and what not to do. And it's been phenomenal on how fast they've grown. Even the project leads saying like, these people are a month is like 3 months to other people that they taught, because they know they have this limited amount of time.
Okay, and this obviously it all feeds into this idea that Saudi wants to become a sort of leader in the games industry. Obviously, part of Vision 2030 is to invest really heavily, in lots of different areas in the games industry to really kind of put the country on the map as far as that's concerned. How excited are you by that prospect?
I am immensely excited. How couldn't I have not been? As Saudis, We are fortunate of having forward-looking leaders such as His Majesty King Salman and his Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, with their reforms allowing the private sector having this opportunity to grow. More on that, the government has always supported us and is still supporting us. And our job as a private sector is to take this opportunity to push ourselves to grow and achieve nothing less than excellence. And I truly believe that we can be one of the top major countries in game development in the future.
So, Prince Salman, how would you describe the current game developer community in Saudi? Because obviously, throughout this conference, we've spoken to so many indie devs from, across the country and listened to all the really cool projects they're working on. It seems like a really vibrant scene at the moment. So what's your take on that?
I truly believe Saudis are maybe one of the most passionate people about video games, playing and creation. We're only missing is the opportunity, the funnel to go through. And, the Seattle, Singapore, and Bilbao, Spain have DigiPen campuses. Over here, we are trying to reach that point. And we need just experienced people to help lead us so we don't fall on the same pitfalls that the others have fallen into. And through programs like Game Changers, and hopefully the continuation of Game Changers and our end goal as establishing the university here, we will have more experience and pushing people to more higher levels of knowledge in game development. Like even now, we don't have that really of a focus on studying and teaching about game development, and we have these passionate people creating things and like that. How can you imagine if we have these huge opportunities where they can go and continue and grow and experience from experienced people and people around them? I think that will cause a huge boom in game development over here.
Okay, and talking about that massive boom, where would you hope to see Saudi by 2030 in terms of its position in the kind of global gaming space? What would be the dream scenario for you?
Before we go to 2030, before we go to 2030, now Saudi Arabia is the 19th biggest market in gaming, in games revenue in the world. We spend more than $1 billion on games, and only less than 5% of that stays and benefits Saudi Arabia. And it's still growing. We're growing 30% year on year. With that, with an ambitious leader like the Crown Prince, and with Vision 2030, capitalizing on our size in the region and as the leaders of the Islamic world, I have no doubt that by 2030, we will be one of the top countries in the world in game development. More on that, hopefully anyone who is interested in game development, whether they hear about games made in Saudi Arabia, whether they see or play games made in Saudi Arabia. And on top of that, I truly believe that the Arabic language should be a standard by then, a standard language by then in any game published.
Okay, and on that subject of the Arabic language, one of the sort of talking points that we've had throughout this conference as well is looking at localization of games, and whether it's games that are produced overseas and how they're localized for the sort of the Middle East and the kind of the wider MENA region. Do you think that there's a lot to be done there in terms of companies producing games for the market, and that's something that Saudi can really do? Obviously, you mentioned Arabic language games, that kind of thing. Do you think that's something that is a real opportunity for Saudi to take advantage of?
Absolutely. I'm very passionate about localization. And I know also there is a company in Japan. It was started by journalists in the US called 84. And When I had free time, I used to listen to their podcast, but now I don't. I truly believe there is so much to do in localization. Like the Arabic language spans many countries and many regions all over. And as children, when cartoons were localized in Arabic, it's either just one dialect, either Egyptian or Lebanese, and that's it. But as games, small interaction, we should not just see one country's dialect and language. We should see a mixture of it. Many games, English is not just in a British accent or a Welsh accent or the US accent. You see many games, you see someone with a British accent, with an American accent. Even in America, there is a New York, Brooklyn accent, or a Texan accent, or a Wisconsin accent. So with game development and localization, I truly believe there is huge room to let anyone from the Arab world feel that they are a part of the game when they see someone in their accent. Let's say Saudi Arabia, we can have people who have central region accents. We can have people in the west or in the east or in the south. All of these places have different accents. And if seeing a game that has all of these accents, it would feel like it is made for us, even though it can be a medieval sci-fi game or what have you. But this connection should be there, and I think there is a lot of work that can be done.
Okay, and just something else I was thinking as well, before talking about the talent pool when it comes to developing games in Saudi, how important would you say it is to have the whole ecosystem of the gaming space within the country, so that when these people are learning how to become developers, they don't then go off to another country to work for a company in the US, for example? Like how important do you think it is to make sure there's this hub of companies and there's this place where people can actually find jobs once they kind of finish these courses and initiatives?
Well, that goes also with our partner, DigiPen. When DigiPen started in Seattle in 1998, I think, there were the same amount of game development studios as Saudi Arabia now, even before Game Changers finished. And now they have like more than 400 studios there, from AAA to small indie development there. So having this, pump that creates always a new generation of game developers, a new generation of artists, designers, programmers, and musicians coming out of this area, people will generally stick to that area. And I wish that Saudi Arabia, all regions are full of game developers, from Riyadh to Jeddah to Abha to Sharqiya to Tabuk, everywhere, to Qasim. And having this pump and having this continuous outcome of talented people, I think that's what connects people and stay there. And having that is our goal and our dream as AIC to establish here.
Okay, and as someone who's obviously kind of there, very much plugged into the community, you mentioned all the different cities there. Is there an area within Saudi where the hub is for game development? Do you feel that there is one area where the most kind of where the game developer community is thriving most?
Yeah, as of now, I honestly cannot answer this question, but hopefully when Game Changers finishes and people see the outcome of that, and by the next round, more people join in while we are trying to establish the university there. Hopefully that will be not necessarily a hub. We don't want to, have everyone in the capital, but have that grow. And when people go back to their area, like now we have a lot of people in our program, let's say from Jeddah. If all of them establish a company, they don't need to stay in Riyadh. They can go to Jeddah. If everyone from Tabuk or Abha who works, and they can go there. So our goal is not to have one central area, is to just spread the knowledge in all areas. And that's why Game Changers, we specifically asked for, not just for the people in Riyadh, for throughout the country, that anyone can join and they can have housing, so they can just focus on the program and not focus on anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. And just finally, are there any kind of other projects or any other things that you're working on at all that you want to talk about?
Well, other than Game Changers and trying to establish the university here, we also are developing a game, and hopefully, well, we don't have a timeline on when it's going to release, but hopefully it's going to be fun, and we're going to release it when it's ready. At the same time, we are very close in investing in a Danish studio, and in talks with many others. So AIC will have partners all over the world, and in the end, we just want to create fun, interactive experience. We want to give the joy that we felt as children and as adults while playing games. The hours we spent, what's better than giving joy to people? And that's what we want to achieve. We are helping, like, if you would think about, we're a company that's building its competitors. It's a weird thing to think about, but we don't want to hold everything down. We don't want to control everything. We want as much people into the game development scene as possible, because everyone will have new ideas. New blood will always bring new ideas. If it becomes stale and stagnant, then nothing will change. We will just have the same games repeating again and again and again and again. But like, one person can change everything. So that's what our goal is to bring in as much people in game development as possible throughout the world. We're focusing on our region most because it's not really there yet, but that's not stopping us as a company to help people outside.
And what a great goal to have. Well, thank you very much, Prince Salman, for all your time today.
It's a really
interesting conversation. Thanks a lot. And to all our audience, obviously, you can catch up on any of these sessions on YouTube, and obviously follow everything we're doing at DGC on our social channels.